Pakistan. We've got a fair amount of cloud making its way into the northern parts of the Arabian Peninsula, but I think here it'll be dry and fine.
An uprising on the streets, showing no sign of relenting. Protesters united in their defiance of the regime. As demonstrations continued for a third week, President Mubarak remained unmoved. But how much longer could he ignore the demands of his people and hold on to power? In a day-by-day account, we look at the events that changed Egypt, from those that witnessed them firsthand. Fall of Mubarak, at this time on Al Jazeera.
Welcome back. A reminder of our top stories on Al Jazeera. Pro-reform unrest in Libya has spread to the capital, Tripoli, and protesters in Benghazi are now claiming to be in control of the eastern city. The son of Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi appeared on state television warning of civil war. And Saif al-Islam says his father will fight attempts to unseat him until, quote, the last man standing. Anti-government demonstrators in Bahrain have spent another night camping out in the capital, Manama. Hundreds of people are still at the Pearl roundabout following the withdrawal of the army. An Indian courts upheld the death sentence for the sole surviving gunman of the 2008 Mumbai attacks. Mohammed Ajmal Amir Kasab was found guilty last May for his part in attacks which killed 166 people and injured more than 300 others. Now, more now on our top story, and that speech from the Libyan leader's son, Saif al-Islam Gaddafi. He presented a stark choice to Libyans. He said that if the country was caught up in a civil war, people would suffer as the oil wealth could not be properly distributed to pay for education and health care.
Libya's oil unites us. We have one source which all 5 million Libyans benefit from. It's not in the east or in the west, it is in the middle. If we separate, who is going to run and manage these oil resources? How are we going to divide this up between us? Who is going to support our children, distribute food, provide hospitals and schools? Do you think we can split the country up? We may agree for a few months on how to divide it, but it will become a burning issue, the cause of fighting between all tribes, because the oil is in the middle and the south. That is desert, which is not inhabited.
And events in Libya are pushing oil prices higher. In New York, crude for March delivery is up by around $1.70 a barrel. Well, Wahid Borshan is a Libyan analyst. He joins us here in the studio in Doha. Thank you very much for coming in. Let me ask you first, are investors, oil investors, right to be worried about the current unrest in Libya, you think?
Well, clearly, Libya is in transition. And it's one of the major suppliers and OPEC producer. So clearly, I'm sure they have concern about the stability of the country.
Now, what do you make of the latest developments? We heard the speech from Saif al-Islam, the ambassador to the Arab League stepping down, as well as the ambassador to India handing his resignation. What do you make of these developments? Are these signs that the regime is starting to crumble?
Without a question. It's definitely, there are, the regime is coming apart. Saif's speech yesterday, or whatever you want to call it, it has not helped at all. It has worsened the situation, I think. Clearly, the Libyan people have not signed out to whatever he says.
But he raised some interesting prospects, though. I mean, interesting in the sense that it's interesting to see, really, if that would be the case. He raised the prospect, for instance, of a separation between East and West. We know that the current unrest really has been concentrated in the East, in the city of Benghazi, which is now, in fact, reported to be in the control of young people there. Right. We've seen a bit of unrest in Tripoli, but not as much as it is the case in the East. Is he right in saying that there could be a separation, perhaps, between Eastern Libya and Western Libya?
Absolutely not. I think the Libyan people, I know the Libyan people are very united. The Libyan people know what Libya is all about. The Libyan people have fought to have Libya to be independent. Libyan people are definitely, in terms of interrelationship, in terms of families. I'm myself married to, I'm from the West and my wife is from the East, and we've been happily married for 26 years, so I'm not planning to have any separation there. So no, Libya is united. Libya, they are definitely one people. Libyans have inspired to become a very civilized, modern country with a constitution and rule of law with credible institutions.
Okay, thank you very much, Wahid Borshan, Libyan analyst, talking to us about the situation in that country.
Thank you.
Now, in other news, Yemen's president has just spoken in response to ongoing anti-government protests there. Demonstrators camped overnight outside Sana'a University. In the last hour, President Ali Abdullah Saleh said their demands for regime change are unacceptable. Let's now speak to Hashem Ahelbar and find out what else the president said. Hashem, certainly the president seems very much defiant still.
Very much so, but concerned about escalation in the country. He's known for his off-the-cuff characterization of events as they unfold in the world. He said that the pro-democracy momentum in Yemen is a contagious disease which is very alien to the country and to its culture. It's like a flu. You sneeze and everybody catches the flu. He lashed out at the opposition, saying that whenever he offers concessions, he would raise the bar of their demands, and that regime change or departure of his political elite is unacceptable. Let's listen to what he had to say.
The people of Yemen should use the right means of discussion. And if you convince us with your demands, then you'll get what you want.
Ali Abdullah Saleh is offering the opposition dialogue again. He's saying that he's ready for a live televised debate with members of the opposition for an exit strategy. But he said you have to be nationalistic. Don't go to the US embassy or to the EU embassies to seek an answer. You have to talk to me and to the people, and let the people judge, not the streets.
Thank you very much, Hashem Ahelbar, reporting live from Sana'a in Yemen. To Europe now, and 10 disabled children have died in a fire at an orphanage in Estonia. The blaze broke out in a wooden building in Haapsalu when 37 children and 2 adults were inside. Many were wheelchair-bound and unable to escape the flames. Estonia will mark the tragedy with a day of mourning this Monday. Iceland's president has called for a new referendum over the $5 billion the country owes to Britain and the Netherlands. New repayment terms have been hammered out following the country's financial collapse and the failure of the Icesave Bank 2 years ago. President Olafur Grimsson has called for the new vote after an initial referendum rejected the original terms. Germany's ruling party has suffered a crushing defeat in a key regional election. The result means the opposition Social Democrats now have control of the country's upper house of parliament. And the poll could mean more trouble for Chancellor Angela Merkel's party as it faces 6 more local elections this year. More than 50 people have been killed over the past 3 days in the Mexican town of Ciudad Juarez. That's according to officials there, who say 14 people were killed on Thursday, 20 on Friday, and a further 19 on Saturday. Juarez is just across the border from Texas, a frontier that's